Do you think a new grading company will come in and take over? Never take over, but I've thought about this. So Carson, I have a bunch of 90s basketball to grade, MJ, Kobe, Duncan, like that's the stuff. Oh man, this is the shortest question, but the most loaded question. And we are live of Beyond the Game that's actually being rebranded as the Eric Michaels Show. And at the end, I will explain to you why we're doing some super mega exciting stuff next week, starting next week for the next one. And I'm just unbelievably excited about it. That's the best word I have for it. We're doing something amazing that I think is just going to be great for everybody, great for me, great for the audience and everybody. But I'll get into that stuff in a second. But let's get into it. And I have a bunch of questions that people have been asking me. I took these from comments. We also send out an email where you could submit questions with a form, and I answer these questions on my nice handy dandy iPad here. So let's get into it. And then I have some stuff to talk about at the end. Sports stuff, obviously, lots been going on in the sports world. I was right on the Chiefs and the Eagles, I must say that, but I'll get into that stuff in a second. Let's get into the first one. So Richard says, I was given a nice collection of baseball cards, football cards, and 8 basketball cards from my best friend. I've been looking and doing some researching, and I found some in my collection that I hope are worth money. I have a Bill Belichick head coach, Cleveland Browns card, several Nolan Ryan cards from the 90s, and many more. I would love to hear from you and discuss these items with you. So, I'll give you the answer. So based on what you're telling me, I think that what you have is probably not worth that much money. A Nolan Ryan rookie card is really what's going to be worth anything, and you're telling me you have 90 stuff, and his rookie card was, 68? Am I wrong there? 60, something like that, but much older. And the bottom line with these cards, I wish I could because the most common question I get with this stuff, with sports cards, is I have older cards, what are they worth? That's like the basic, most common question I get. And there's actually just one straightforward answer. If they're in good condition, they're worth a lot of money. If they're not, they're not. But most of the time, and when I say most of the time, I'm talking like 99% of the time, these cards are not in good condition. That's why you get you could have a card. Actually, instead of me drawing this, let me just show you, right? So we could have let me think of it. Actually, it's better to go to Market Movers. Let's go to Market Movers, right? And let's just pull up a random card from the 80s or 90s. So this is a good card. 1998, Topps, Chrome, Randy Moss. I have one of these cards, or I just sold one of these cards, so that's why I'm thinking of it. Actually, this is not a good example. Let's do a Topps Chrome. I don't know. Let's do that first one. Dirk Nowitzki. So Dirk Nowitzki, you could see, right, this card up there is worth $23 and is a 10. Let's see if we can find a 10. PSA 10. This card is worth a lot more, right? Oh, whoops. Let me compare that. And then, no. Yep. So you can see, right, this one is worth like $10, and then a PSA 10 is worth absurdly more, right? Like $400, $500, right? And the reason that is, and the way sports cards works, is the harder something is to grade, the better the multiplier you get. Cards from the 90s, a lot of people didn't care about them. They threw them away. They treated them like shit. So the condition of a lot of them are bad. So that means it's hard to get a PSA 10, which is why PSA 10s are worth so much money. So the bottom line is, whether you have cards from the 80s, 90s, or 70s, by the way, that's water, not coffee. Some of you guys probably think I'm insane if that was coffee, because I always gulp on that thing. Not coffee. I love coffee, but I'm not a coffee drinker because I don't like getting reliant on things because I like coffee too much. But the point I'm trying to make here is, if you have 70s, 80s, and 90s cards, if they're in good condition, which they're probably not, but if they are, they're worth a lot of money. And then you have your anomalies, like stuff that doesn't need to be in perfect condition that's worth a lot of money, like 86 Fleer Jordans, some 90s basketball stuff. Like if you had this card of Dirk Nowitzki that's on my screen right now, but in a refractor. So like this card, let's get rid of this stuff. So like Dirk Nowitzki, like this one up here. So you could see there's only one sale in the past year or so, and it sold for $12.8 grand. But like this card, even if it grades an 8 or a 7 or a 9, it's still worth a considerable amount of money. But those of you guys who have these older cards, The unfortunate answer is they're just simply not worth a lot of money. Unless they're in great condition, which I doubt. That's the simple answer to your question, Richard, and I have a feeling based on the way you're asking the question that the cards you have, just no good, unless they're in perfect condition. So Carson, I have a bunch of 90s basketball to grade, MJ, Kobe, Duncan, like that's the stuff. Like you older guys that are in like 30s, 40s, 50s, because I know that's a lot of my audience, that's the stuff you're going to find in your closet that's going to be worth a lot of money. Or like from the golden era of sports cards, like 1959 and below, that stuff, but I doubt any of you guys have that stuff. Like that stuff is very rare to find. But that stuff, of course, graded at 1, 2, 3, 4, like a Babe Ruth 1933 Gaudy, it doesn't really matter what the grade is. It's just worth it. Well, it does, of course, but it's just worth a lot of money regardless, as opposed to the point I'm trying to make here is 80s and 90s is junk, so for it to be worth a lot of money, it has to be graded in perfect condition, but it's very difficult because they're very flimsy and they got damaged very easily. But yeah, your best hope of finding a diamond in the rough is 90s basketball. And all those guys, Dirk, Tracy McGrady, Allen Iverson, Vince Carter, all their rookie cards from the 90s. Let's see. So hopefully that answers your question. Robert asked me, I want to sell my card collection. Is there someone who can do this for a fee? Do you recommend this route? Well, I would listen to what I just said before answering Richard's question. So you probably, just statistically speaking, have cards, just junk cards from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and they're worthless. You might as well wipe your butt with them. Just honestly, that's how worthless they are, these common base cards, because they're so common. Is there a fee if you actually have something that's worth a value? I mean, you could always message me, or you could go to your local card shop and say, hey, I have these cards, and they'll take like 10, 15, 20%, or you could sell the cards yourself. Like if you actually have stuff that's worth value, you could always sell it yourself on eBay, and eBay will take 13%, but your local card shop, they'll probably first try to buy it from you because they want to flip it and make more money. But if you just tell them, hey, I just want you guys to take a small cut, I want to sell it myself, then your local card shop will do it. Let's see, Carson, I have a graded 1998 Platinum Medallion MJ number to 100, graded a 6. Can I send that to Quality Assurance? So you must be in the program, Carson. Yeah, you could. And let's look up what that's worth because I have no idea. So you have a 1998 Medallion Jordan number to 100. Number to 100. I can't find it. Yeah, maybe you have the wrong year. I can't find it on here. But yeah, that sounds like you have something of value. Yeah, send it to one of the coaches, and they'll definitely help you out. Let's see. Gary says, Patrick Mahomes rookie card 2017 Donruss. Is it better to buy a graded 10 for about $1,300 approximately, or buy one and get it graded? Not many clean ones out there. So yeah, if you're looking for a 10, not going to happen. You're probably not going to find it. But if you're looking to buy a Patrick Mahomes, one of those cards, what I would do, well, let's first look up what it's worth, just so I can give you like an accurate answer as to what I would do if I was Mahomes. Oh, whoops, that's not how to spell it. Mahomes. Donruss. Oh my God. This is terrible. This is terrible spelling. Mahomes. Donruss. PSA 10. Let's see. Okay. So, I would not buy it right now. So, like, just look at this is like the past 6 months. Let's go the past year. You're buying it right now at the absolute peak because he's in the Super Bowl and people are excited. Like, Mahomes isn't going anywhere, whether he wins or loses. This card will probably come back to, like, here, where it was in the offseason last year. And it'll go back down to around $1,000 if I had to take a guess. Like, I would, like, if you're going to buy it and hold it, which it sounds like that's something you want to do, one of the best things to do when it comes to buying, like, blue chip cards or cards that are just not going to go anywhere, right? Like a Randy Moss rookie, a Patrick Mahomes rookie, any of these Hall of Famers. You want to, like, if you're going to invest long term, if you're just smart about it, you can literally make 20 to 30% on your money for free just by getting in at the right time. Like, for example, this card is kind of like, okay, it's not like a vintage card. Let me give you an example. And hopefully this point will hit home. So this is, I think I gave this example a few weeks ago. So check this out. This is an actual card I bought and sold, and I think this will help you out. All right. This is a card that's a pretty common card. It's a Randy Moss rookie. We all could agree Randy Moss is a great receiver. He's Hall of Famer, etc. This card, over time, over a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, it's only going to go up with time, right? It's not going to go down. It could go down, probably not. And as you can see, the graph of this card, right, it goes up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. It's like boop, 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 boop. Now, I bought this card when I saw a dip right here for $117. I was like, wow, this is the lowest this card's sold in a long time. And then I saw the card at a card show, and I bought it for $110. Now, this isn't a ton of money, but this is just to prove a point. So I bought this card for $110 at this point right here, right in around early September, because I knew, okay, I may have to hold this card for a month, 2 months, 2 weeks, 5 months, I don't know. But based on previous data, it's going to go up over time, but it goes up like this, right? So you want to buy it at that low, and then you could sell it at the high or just hold it. It doesn't matter. But I got lucky, and it sold for four. Yeah, I don't know why this skyrocketed so much, but that's just what these vintage cards do. If you just look at the past year and just make sure you're getting in at a low point and selling it, and you'll save yourself a lot of money. So, like, once again, I'm going back to 2017, Mahomes, done. Oh man, this iPad's brutal with the spelling. PSA 10. So, like, this card, for example, look at it. It's like, boop, 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 boop. Like, why would you just not wait for, like, this right here, a low point? Just buy it, right? If you're going to buy it for the long term, I know you're probably excited and he's in the Super Bowl and you want to buy it now, but you're not doing yourself any favors. Like, this card is worth just 30% more than it was in December, and it's just going to go back down to here. Most likely, it may not, but even if it doesn't, right? If you look at this card in 3 months from now and it's still at this price, okay, buy it. It's stabilized at that price. Or most likely, in my opinion, it'll drop down around here because this card's been worth this for a long time, and just come in, when you see one of these low dips. That's it. That's the way I would invest. But yeah, to answer your question, I would not buy one to get graded. You're not going to find a 10, or I highly doubt it. So that's what I would do. Let's see what other questions we got here. Emilio, I started collecting all sports. I have thousands upon thousands of cards. I started collecting in 1989, but stopped in 1994. I also have cards from 1981, 84, 86, 97. I started looking at prices on Sports Card Pros. I found some serious values of my cards, but I'm unsure if I should spend the $25 per card to get them graded. For me, it's a gamble. Also, for the number of cards I have, I would have to hit the lottery to grade the majority of these cards. Thanks, Eric. So those cards, you can send them to me. I'm more than happy to help you for free. But those cards, most likely, no. Don't get them graded. They're probably in terrible condition, and they're probably not worth that much to begin with, cards from that era. So you could send them to me, that maybe you have something that's worth decent, but my simple answer to you is don't waste your money, don't waste your time. Go buy my program or learn from someone else how to start flipping individual cards and make a consistent side income. That's what I would do, Emilio. Or you could send them to me, and I could let you know, but I could almost guarantee you what the answer is going to be. Let's see. Oh, man. This is the shortest question, but the most loaded question. Douglas says, my son and I are starting out. What would you suggest for us to begin? Okay. It's a lot. It's a lot to be said with that question. Okay. Let me draw this out for you, Douglas, to give you an in-depth answer. Okay. So you say my son and I are starting out. I'm assuming you're starting out to learn how to flip cards and make money. Like, there's, fathers and sons that just break open packs and boxes and do this for fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. And then there's people that do this to make a profit and get into it with their son, teach their son entrepreneurship. It's very common. So I'm assuming by asking that question, you're asking me, how do I start making money with sports cards with my son? Well, let me tell you what not to do, all right? What most people do is they hop on Whatnot, and you may have already done this. They hop on Whatnot, and they start breaking. This, do not do. Bad. Bad, bad, bad. In terms of making money. There's nothing wrong with it. It's fun, and it's entertaining, but you should not do this to make money, okay? Now, the way to make money, so let's do this in green for making money. So the way to make money, the easiest and simplest way to make money is start making a few $1,000s a month is by grading sports cards, okay? So let me go to a new page. Let me break this down to you, okay? So grading sports cards. So the math, let's do this in blue actually. Hold on, this pen's being funny. You know what? Pen, oh wait, now the pen's back. This is strange. There we go. Okay. So we have the math. It's important you understand the math behind grading sports cards. So Jeff Bezos has a very famous quote. I'm going to misquote it here, but it's something along the lines of like, business is the most amazing sport because when you hit a home run in baseball, the most amount of runs you could score is 4. Grand slam, right? 3 people on base, you hit a home run, 4. Business is a little bit different. When you hit a home run, you would keep circling the bases over and over and over again. So once you find something that works, you can just double, triple, quadruple, 5, 10, 20 times down and just pound it. Just like I do with Major League Profits, I found a business that was profitable and successful, and I went all in, right? Because it makes me money, and like I saw it make me a little bit of money, and boom, I went all in, right? So sports cards is the same. Once you have the proper information and you understand the math, you can just go all in. Now, it's not going to make you millions of dollars. It could, but it's probably not going to, because fundamentally, this is how it works, right? Let's say, oh man, this pen is just being funny. It doesn't want me to, I don't think it wants me to help anyone. I could just describe it. I could describe it without the pen, but the pen does make it easier. Yeah. Maybe it'll come back to life. Anyways, so the way sports cards works is like this, okay? So you buy a card for $100 and you send it off to get graded. And if it grades high, if it grades at 10, it's worth $300. If it doesn't grade at 10, you'll break even, maybe lose a little bit of money. So fundamentally, that's how it works, right? You buy a card for $100 and you double your money if it grades at 10, and you lose 10% of your money if it doesn't grade at 10. That is a gamble you should be willing to take. And hopefully you would take that gamble. And obviously sometimes you'll lose money, sometimes you'll make money, but over the long run, you keep doing it over and over and over again, you will make very decent money, okay? And that's why business and sports cards is an amazing thing. Now, there's a lot that goes into that, obviously. You have to understand, like, first, what types of cards should you actually be buying, right? Like, for example, like baseball, like the best types of cards is Bowman Chrome, right? You don't want to be buying cards to get graded that aren't liquid, of course, right? And then also you have to understand timing the market. So this is something that costs me a lot of money, right? You want to be buying cards and being strategic about it, right? Think about it. If you're going to buy a card to send it in to get graded, and it's going to take, a month or 2 months to get back to you, you want to be buying an asset that has a high chance of appreciating in value, not depreciating. If you're going to buy something and you're going to send it off to a company, and then they're going to send it back to you 2 months later, you want to buy something that hopefully is going to be worth more money in the future than it is today, on top of the card being graded. So for example, like right now, someone who I think is a good buy is, pen's no good, damn. Someone who I think is a good buy is CJ Stroud. I think CJ Stroud's a great buy. Actually, we could still use this with the finger. And the reason I think CJ Stroud is a good buy is because CJ Stroud, if we just look at I think Silver Prism. So let's see what this is at. I've been monitoring this. Okay, so the last sale did $371. You can see how much it's down, right? This card was once worth like $1,000. And we're down a lot. And I think the Texans are going to have a lot of hype, momentum. They're going to get Stephon Diggs back, Tank Dell back. I think they're going to shore up their defense. And I think there's going to be a lot of hype surrounding CJ Stroud. Maybe they'll pick up a weapon in the draft. Who knows? And what that'll do is that'll create hype, excitement, and his value will go up. So if I buy a CJ Stroud card today, once again, there's no guarantees, but in my opinion, I think it has a high chance of going up in value by the time I get it back rather than down. And the way to do that, at least in my experience, is you want to be buying the guys that are kind of in the shitter. So like Jaden Daniels is very hyped. Right? There's no it could go, there's no room for it to go up much. It could. But CJ Stroud, right, he's at his floor, he's at its bottom. There's not really much that could happen where he will go down in value. But there's a lot of upside. So basically, the way I look at buying CJ Stroud is okay, if I send these cards in for grading, I don't think they're going to be worth any less when I get them back. They could be. Probably not. It's only up from here. That's just the way I look at it. And it's done very well for me. But you have to understand timing, what cards to buy, how to properly evaluate a card, corners, edges, centering, surface. And like there's a million videos on my YouTube. Like, go and watch them. They're free. That's why I do them. And you'll learn a lot. But once you understand that stuff and you understand the information and you have that in your head, now it's just a game of doing more, just putting in time and buying cards and selling cards and boop, 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 boop. I've been doing that a lot today. Boop, 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 boop. But that's all it is, right? That's all business is. Like, once you have a competitive advantage, it's about doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down. And that's the best way to get started. Like, obviously, I sell a coaching program that teaches you how to do this. So, like, I don't like going on these podcasts and, like, this content, like, hard selling, like, buy. But, like, realistically, that's the reason we have a lot of reviews. It's because it actually works. So, like, instead of, like, trying to figure it out yourself and go through YouTube videos, you can just have a coach that'll just tell you what to do. So, like, if you someone that values your time, I would just buy a program. It doesn't have to be me. You can pay someone else. I'm sure there's other people out there that know what they're doing and might help you with sports cards. Or you can just pay us, join it, and go that route. Or not. Or take a little bit more time, go through YouTube videos, start smaller, and work your way up to it. Me personally, like my personal preference is just like everyone else, I value my time a lot. And the only way to buy back your time, well, you need money. And something that, I spend like, boatloads of money every single year on coaching programs, investing in myself, etc. And it's because it buys back my time. So that's the way I look at life, and that's what I would recommend doing. You don't have to pay me money, pay someone else money, but that's the best way to get started. But hopefully, sorry, the pen's not working. The pen may have ran out of juice here. But yeah, hopefully that helps you out. Let's see. Hobby. I doubt that's your name, Hobby. Although that could be your name. We had a student join our program last week. He named his son Beckett. Swear. This guy used to own a card shop in the early 90s, and he would always read that. I mean, I wasn't around back then, but he would always read that Beckett like magazine, and he loved Beckett, and he named his son Beckett. Good name. I remember the pitcher, Josh Beckett. He played for the Red Sox and the Marlins, I believe. I think he won a World Series with the Marlins. Yeah, I think he won a World Series. Yeah, he named his son Beckett. Let's see. Hobby says, I want to go after some baseball players that use suggestion, but my understanding is that these need to be sold before spring training, and I hear that PSA is 5 to 6 weeks out and returning your cards and getting them graded. Your thoughts? Yes, my thoughts is to not buy it. Those are my thoughts. So, well, okay, so like, right, the overall goal of sports cards, like when buying cards, at least in my opinion, is the best way to time the market. When the season starts, you want none of that sport on you, okay? Very simply put. So when baseball starts, you want no baseball cards on you because most of them go down in value. It's just simply how it works. So because it's late January right now, it's too late. Like you're going to get these cards back like maybe before the season, but it's too risky because guys just plummet in value. Like go on market movers or go just look at previous values and you'll see all the time just guys just go down and shoot down. The best way to do it is really buying football right now because you'll see. So the number one the number one cause of a player's value going up a lot in the offseason, in my experience with football, with quarterbacks. So like when I'm saying football, I'm talking about mostly about quarterbacks, is still no juice. Sorry, it's bothering me. The number one indicator is picking up pieces in the offseason. So for example, like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, when the Dolphins traded for Tyreek Hill, Tua Tagovailoa's value like doubled. Last year, Kyler Murray's value doubled over the course of the offseason, and a big reason why is who did they draft? Marvin Harrison Jr. So when you're buying football, the question I like to ask myself is, okay, who should I buy that is going to get a lot of hype? AKA, who should I buy that can go up a lot in value? And I know the number one cause of a player going up in value is the team improving a lot. So I just asked myself that, and I'm like, okay, well, I think the Broncos have some room to pick up some pieces. I think Michael Penix is undervalued right now because I think people are going to get excited and realize the Falcons have a good team and good offense. People get excited for the Falcons every year, and they always never live up to their expectations, but who cares about that because we're selling it before the offseason. I think Drake May has a great chance to go up a lot in value because the Patriots have no weapons. There's only up from here. You can't get worse. As opposed to like Jaden Daniels, yeah, they could pick up a weapon or two. His value's already pretty damn high. Or like Penix, they have a lot of weapons. They need to shore up their defense. So like Michael Penix's value probably won't go up much if they get defensive pieces. But if the Patriots draft a top receiver, then you're going to see Drake May's value go up. Or if they trade for Tyreek Hill, I don't know, that's not going to happen. But if they do, his value will go up. So I ask myself, like, who's going to get a lot of hype? And I know the number one cause of hype is, in football, is a quarterback getting a new piece, a new weapon, because people get excited for that. The number one cause for baseball, in my experience, is a player having the potential to start for the first time. So a good example of this is like Jason Dominguez. So if we look at like market movers, and I actually have no idea if his values went up at all. Let's find out. 2020 Bowman, Chrome, Jason Dominguez. Let's see. Let's do PSA 10 auto. Let's see. So this is his refractor, PSA 10. This is weird. So like, all right. So the season ended, right? This is the off season. But you could have got this card for like $900, $1,000, and like look at the last sale, $1,300. Like, why did this happen? Because people are realizing, one, he's a Yankee, so people get excited about the Yankees, and two, people are realizing, oh shit, Jason Dominguez is going to start for the first time, and it creates excitement. Okay, I wish I bought more. Like, honestly, I've slacked with my sports cards this past, like, honestly, like year, and I like, even though, just to be like frank and like honest, like Major League Profits makes me way more money than sports cards ever would, but I still like to stay in the game because like I'm someone that believes you should practice what you preach. Even though I've done it for 10 years, I know everything there is to know, or most things to know. If I was more in the game and we didn't grow so fast and it was all these employees, I would have been buying Dominguez like crazy. I think I only have one card of his. It's actually a blue Jason Dominguez. Let's see what this is worth now. Bowman Chrome. Now I'm looking live with you guys. Blue auto. Yes, this card's not worth much more than I paid. So this card's like, you could see in the playoffs, for some reason it sold so high, but I paid $2,000. It's not worth much more. But this last sale was $2,100 on Christmas, and I'm expecting this card to shoot up to hopefully close to $3,000. We'll see. Next question. Mick, M-I-K, Mick. Why do people still use PSA for grading? They are admittedly subjective, unreliable in their grades, take way too long to get back anything, and they steal 10 to 30% of the value of your card with their final valuation upcharges. You are correct, Mick. There are so many better options, yet it's not PSA or Beckett, also prohibitively expensive. You can get people to buy them at full value, though. I heard some people have been paying PSA prices for TAG cards. I don't know what that is. With their AI system and full report on each card and 10-day turnaround, I'm going to try them, I think. Skip this part. I don't want to sound like I'm promoting anyone in particular. I just don't understand why anyone sticks with PSA. The cards I sent them in early November, I got an email this week saying they just got them. What the Where have they been then? Okay, so you're definitely pissed off that PSA is taking too long, which I don't blame you. So I'll give you the simple answer and then the complicated answer. So the simple answer is, like, I send cards to PSA, like, not because I think their holders look the great or I love their company mission statement. Their cards sell for more. That's just the bottom line. It's just how it goes. Like, their cards sell for more. And, like, that's why people send them there. Like, a PSA 10 is worth 30, 40, 50% more than a high grade of any other company. So, like, if I'm buying, like, this expensive card right here, and this card's $10,000, why would I want to send it to another company and cost myself money? That's the simple answer. If you want the in-depth economic business answer, well, PSA's been around for longer than any of these companies when it comes to grading, okay? So people trust them more. People trust them with their expensive cards. Because of that, that's why their cards sell for more. And PSA is not stupid, right? When you're a company that provides a lot of value, and in this sense, PSA provides value not in their turnaround times, even though I think they're going to improve that soon, because that's actually a part of their business that lacks, but in terms of trust, like, you trust PSA. I think it's stupid because like you're not going to send cards to a grading company. They're going to steal them. But for people just trust PSA with higher end cards, they do that. And like that's PSA's competitive advantage. They've been around longer than anyone else. And because of that, they take advantage, right? They know they can maybe take a little bit longer with their turnaround times. They know they could upcharge you on cards. They know they could be more expensive because they're a better company. They have more trust. Now, they have some things to work on, like their turnaround times for sure. But like just to give you a business example, I could give you one from my own business. Like the cost of our program like in the beginning, like when we first started Major League Profits, I wasn't as good as I am now at teaching sports cards. So like just to give you like a very simple example, I would teach people everything there is to know about sports cards, like how to buy higher end cards, how to buy lower end cards, how to go to card shows, this, like all this stuff, and it was scattered and it was helpful, but we didn't get as much success as we do now because now I realized, wow, the number one way our students make money with sports cards is just through grading. So that's all we teach in our first program. Strictly how to buy, grade, and sell cards because that is the easiest, most efficient way to make money with sports cards. And our success rate, like if you just go, and I'm not saying this like gloat and sell you into a program, but this is just an example from myself. We have like hundreds of reviews and thousands of testimonials, and it's pretty wild. And because of that, our demand has went up and up and up, and people want to join our program more and more and more. But like because we give people one-on-one coaching, we are capped at how many people we could actually sell. And what happens when you're capped at that, well, if I'm selling a program for, let's say, $100, even though that's not the cost of it, and I have 50 people waiting to work with me, but I can only work with 10 of them, well, I want to make more money, and the demand's asking for it. I'm going to charge $200 now. I'm going to charge $300 now. I'm going to charge what I could to squeeze all the juice out of all my leads, is what we call it in business. And PSA is just doing the same thing. They know they have massive demand they cannot take on, which is why their turnaround times take so long. So like, fuck it. We're grading all these cards anyways. Why don't we make more money, right? And they could, and they should, right? That's how business works. So, yep. And every business does it, right? You build your product, you make it really, really good. And then once you make it good, you can charge what you want. Just like Amazon. Like Amazon doesn't charge, like from the customer side of it, they're all about their customer, cheap prices, but from the selling side of it, like you could sell things on Amazon. Amazon takes a massive cut because they give you access to their warehouse. They ship Amazon Prime. They deal with all the refunds, customer service, and they should take a massive cut. Their product is excellent, so they take like a 20% cut from the people that sell on Amazon, which is huge, right? That's way more than eBay, right? But they could, and they should, right? They deserve to make a lot of money. So that's why PSA is just taking advantage of like people, them being number one, as you would, right? If you own PSA, you would charge through the roof, as they do. Oh, whew, that's a good one, though. So let's see. Robert says, I've gotten really lucky lately with a couple of breaks. I know it is the long-term goal. I know the long-term goal here, I don't know what that means, but a lot of stuff for Panini still in sealed containers. Do I send every one of those cards off for grading? I've also acquired the entire number to 400 Prism Black set of about 15 teams. Each has about 7 to 9 players. Do I grade the entire sets? No, you absolutely do not, because that's just going to cost you a lot of money. Very simply put, if any cards you have, you think a graded 10 and they're worth at least $50 as a PSA 10, send it in, because it costs about $20 to get a card graded. If not, don't send it in. But yeah, you want to look at, these things like corners, edges, centering, surface to make sure this card's going to grade a 10. Like, 'cause a lot of cards come out of the pack and they're not worthy of grading. So do not just blindly send cards in. Let's see. Anfield Sports Card says, do you think a new grading company will come in and take over? Never take over. But I've thought about this. And the problem, this is the issue with these grading. You have all these grading companies, right? And they all come in and they try to, like, so there's different ways. Okay, now you're getting my business like brain turned on here. So there's different ways to have a competitive advantage, okay? Unfortunately, grading sports cards is grading sports cards. The only way to really have an advantage is getting your turnaround times back faster and more efficient, which SGC does and these other companies do. But at the end of the day, grading sports cards is grading sports cards. Like, even if you make your case a little bit nicer, you can't really have an advantage with the product because it's simple. Someone sends a card in for you, you get it graded. As opposed to a treadmill, right? You could make that product much better than the other, right? You could have a digital screen in it, and you could have Bluetooth and Netflix attached in it, and Hulu and all these stuff. So like these companies, these grading companies that come out, they try and like have these cool cases and say like we do this different and we do. Who gives a shit? Nobody cares, right? You're still grading a sports card, right? And that's what people fail to realize. These people, I don't even know how these people have a lot of money to open up these grading companies because their business minds are so backwards. So like if you can't make a competitive advantage, what do you do to make your company better? How can you beat PSA or compete with them? And the way to do that is through influencer marketing. You have to have an advantage with marketing. PSA's marketing isn't great. They don't give a shit about their marketing. They've been around for 30, 40 years. They run some simple Facebook ads. They show up at shows, and that's it. That's it. But think about companies like don't think about grading sports cards for a second. Think about upstart companies that have caused like a shift in like business, right? So PSA would be shit their pants if a company came along and did what I'm about to say. So what's up, Mr. Brum from Toronto. So if you're a company, what I would do, like, okay, wait, no, let me go back to real business examples. Like Fashion Nova, right? You guys know that company? Like think about Fashion Nova. It's actually, if you think about Fashion Nova, it's a clothing company. For those of you guys that don't know, it's inherently similar to sports cards, right? They have a product selling clothes where you can't have much of a product advantage, right? Clothes are clothes for the most part. Can't really make it look more cool. Just like grading sports cards. You can make the case a little bit cooler, but that's not going to move the needle. Fashion Nova is famous for spending tons of money on influencer marketing. Small influencers, big influencers. That's how they made, and they're a multi-billion-dollar company. The founder, the CEO, lives in Beverly Hills, just billionaire. But they were able to crack an industry where like PSA is one goat. They're like one big brother in the industry. The clothing industry, you know how many massive brands have been there for 10, 20, 50, 100 years? And they were able to crack into that and make billions and turn into a billion-dollar company. How do they do it? Through influencer marketing. That's why, like, attention, they always say attention is the new currency. Like, why do I post all this content? Well, I like to talk to people and it's fun for sure, but I do it because attention is the new currency. Like, I want to build my personal brand so Major League Profits grows and whatever else I decide to do in the future, I know I have a lot of attention on me. Okay? So the point I'm trying to make here is a grading company has to come in and they can make their cases nice and get the turnaround times going, but they have to pay a lot of money in marketing to influencers. What type of influencers? I don't know. I mean, there's some sports card influencers. I mean, you could pay me. I mean, I wouldn't take anyone's money for that stuff. But there's a bunch in the industry. I don't follow it too much, the other people who do sports cards, but I'm sure there's collectible influencers, there's sports influencers. You're gonna have to pay some money but your product will get off the ground. Like a good example, one more example to give of this stuff is New Balance, the sneaker company. They were failing for years. They were stagnant, going down, and you guys may have seen they made a resurgence. Right, they're popular again, and I don't know if you guys realize why. So Nike, for example, they never talk about their shoes in their commercials. You ever realize that? They never talk about their shoes. They're always talking about, they're honoring great athletes because you associate those great athletes with their brand. And that's why it feels a little bit different to put on Nike stuff than anything else, because they've pounded that into our brains that like LeBron and Jordan, these great brands, is associated with that swoosh. So New Balance, the way they would market was the opposite. They would say, hey, buy our New Balance sneakers, and they would show the New Balance sneakers, but they took a different approach. They started spending most of their marketing budget, this was about 2 years ago, on what Nike was doing, on honoring great athletes, influencer marketing. And it took about 18 months, but they started to make a massive return, and now they made a massive resurgence, right? And Nike, like, they never talk about their shoes ever in their commercials or ever. Like, you'll never see Nike run an ad saying, "Hey, buy our Nike shoes for $100." Never, right? It's interesting. But like grading company, same thing. Like, attention is the new currency. You have to use influencer marketing and pay influencers to show that they're using your grading company, that they're buying cards, sending them in, selling them with your grading case holder on their cards. And that's the way to crack into the industry. And PSA would shit their pants. And like, honestly, I'm like kind of talking myself into it. I would never do it. It's not economical for me to do that. There's more money in building major league profits for me. But I would take a partnership in it and tell someone how to run the marketing, and they would crush PSA because it's a wide open field. You have PSA up here, and you have all these companies that just do the same shit. And these big companies, they're very scared of small companies because small companies can maneuver and have flexibility. Like when PSA needs to make a marketing decision, they're $1 billion company. They have to go through bureaucracy and go through whatever, all sorts of checks and balances. Like, for example, Major League Profits, private company, I'm the owner. If I want to do something, boom, I do it. And it's that fast. And PSA would be very scared of a new grading company. But you got me into a long-winded answer there, Robert. But hopefully that answers your question. So let's see what else we got. That's it for the questions. Some things just I thought were cool to bring up. So number one, I don't know if you guys saw my last YouTube video. It was at the Dallas Card Show, and I was chewing gum. I wanted to punch myself in the face. I swear. I could not even watch it. I didn't even put it together that I was chewing gum. And so that gum I was chewing is this caffeine gum. And I flew to Dallas and back in one day from Tampa, which was pretty tiring. So I was kind of running on fumes. And oh man, I'm surprised the video is doing so well. I can't listen to it. But I apologize to everyone if it made that video not enjoyable, because it definitely did not make it enjoyable for me, and I will never chew gum in front of a mic ever again after that. Just Jesus, that's not good. And it's just my office. People are going back and forth. Anfield. That's number one. Number two, national championship. Ohio State beat Notre Dame. Are you guys? I listen to Colin Cowherd a lot, so I'm kind of repeating him, but I think he's so on the money with this. So are you guys noticing a shift in college football, right? The SEC dominated for years and years and years, and the NIL has changed everything because you could just pay players. And these northern universities, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Notre Dame, well, to be honest, their academics are better than the South, and their alumni make more money, right? Their alumni go to these cities like Los Angeles and Philly and New York and Miami, and they make a lot of money, and they give this money back to the university. So Notre Dame and Michigan have these just gigantic budgets. Michigan got that kid to flip Bryce Underwood from LSU to Michigan. That would never happen, ever in the old days. LSU was a better football program, but they're paying him $10 million to do so, right? And you would flip too. So we're going to see, at least in my opinion, just because generally speaking, northern schools have more money and their academics are better and their alumni make more money than southern schools, you're going to start to see these northern schools dominate. Can you see any southern school competing with any of these northern schools? Probably not. There's Georgia has good academics. Texas is another one, but the SEC schools of the old, LSU, Alabama, Florida Gators is good academically, but these other schools just have simply more money. Especially Texas. Texas could just buy whoever they want, right? So I think we'll see a huge shift in college football. I think it's super interesting. Some other stuff. We got two more things to talk about. So, no, I'm going to skip that one. This one's not relevant. So we have Mahomes going to the Super Bowl. So yesterday, I've had a terrible season gambling, to be honest, but I was very confident yesterday. I thought the Eagles would dominate. They did. Just Commanders outdid themselves. Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury, you did great. Jaden Daniels, greatest rookie quarterback of all time. But so we have the Eagles versus the Chiefs. Chiefs I loved as well. Actually, that game was I was getting kind of nervous. And that fourth down, that fourth and inches where Josh Allen did a QB sneak, but they said he didn't make it. I think he technically, there was a laser attached to the ball and the first down that could 100% accurately tell you if he made it or not. That was probably a first down, but they gave it to the Chiefs, and the Chiefs ended up winning. The Chiefs deserved to win the game. They were the better team. And that's what I said to myself. I was like, okay, like the Chiefs, okay, let's say their quarterbacks are the same, Josh Allen, and they have about the same weapons, right? Decent weapons on both sides, the Bills and the Chiefs. And the way I looked at the game is the Chiefs' defense is much, much better than the Bills, right? Just top in the league. The Bills' defense is subpar, and the Bills' run game stinks. Like going back to last week against the Ravens were clearly a better team than the Bills. The Bills just got a bunch of lucky turnovers. Lamar fumbled, and then Lamar threw that terrible interception, and then Mark Andrews dropped the ball, and then he also dropped the 2-point conversion, and then Mark Andrews fumbled. Like, if that didn't happen, and the Ravens still almost won the game, they were still right there. So if that didn't happen, I mean, the Ravens probably would have won. And especially if the Ravens were home, they definitely would have won. It was clearly the better team. So I said that to myself, and I was like, okay, I think the Chiefs are honestly just going to dominate this game, just hold the ball, win like 30-20, even though the game was closer than I anticipated. So now we have the Chiefs and the Eagles in the Super Bowl. And it's crazy because last week I was saying to myself, I was like, man, I want the Bills to win, or like yesterday as I'm recording this, I was like, I want the Bills to win more than anyone, just like the rest of America. I want to see Josh Allen in the Super Bowl. I feel so bad for him. Like, you're this amazing quarterback. You just ran into this dynasty. But how do you bet against the Chiefs? I think the Eagles have a slightly better roster, but I think both rosters are really good. I think both teams will cause some punts. And it's like, I think they'll be punting the ball back and forth to each other a little bit. It's like, who do you want with the ball? Mahomes. Like, I envision the game already. They get the ball back with 3 minutes left, 2 minutes left, tie game. Mahomes brings them down the field. They kick a field goal and win. Mahomes is just much better than Hurts, and Hurts is a solid B-plus quarterback. But even like Jaden Daniels, like that game, I know the Commanders got crushed, but really they got crushed because they fumbled 3 times. The Commanders were going up and down the field. And the Chiefs, I think, have better weapons than the Commanders. The Chiefs had Hollywood Brown back, Hopkins back. They have Kelsey, obviously. They have 2 solid running backs. They have a really good offensive line, better than the Commanders. So I just see, man, like, I think the Chiefs are going to win. I think I'm just going to slam the Chiefs, bet a lot of money on them, and I think they're going to win. It's what I did last year. How do you bet against Mahomes? It's hard. So let's see. If Mahomes wins another Super Bowl, does it rock QB prices of, say, the 2020 class, the market going forward? 2020 class, I don't know exactly what you mean by that. Not sure what you mean by that, but I don't think Mahomes' value will change all too much. People already kind of realize he's the GOAT. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to change actually much. I think if Hurts wins the Super Bowl, it'll change his value a lot, but Mahomes, I don't think so. Just my opinion, but you never know. So, second to last thing. Last thing, so interesting dynamic, and I'll get your guys' opinion on this. So I used to talk about my dating life more, kind of stopped dating around, and you guys seem to love when I talk about it because you guys always send me messages about it. So check this out. There's a girl I met 6 months ago, and we met on Hinge. And this girl, so my religion and where she's from in the world, it makes it very difficult to date. And I could tell this girl was not just like a hookup, right? She's someone who you date. And because I thought that it would be too difficult to date, I told her, hey, let's just be friends. I truly don't like leading people on. I don't like using people. I don't. So we became friends, and we had great chemistry for like 5-6 months. And then I threw a birthday party for my dog where all my friends come. There's like 20 of us in my apartment. And had a few drinks. Escalated, one thing led to another, and then we started talking, right? And I told her, hey, like, I'm this religion, you're this religion, and from this part of the world. It makes it very difficult to date. And it's ironic I'm thinking this, because I'm not religious. Like, I don't get into religion or politics much, but I'm not religious, really, at all. And I was born and raised Jewish, but not, like, I consider myself Jewish, but barely, I guess. However, I told her that my mom just, like, I have to appease her a little bit. And just, like, my kids, I just want them to have, like, some 1% of being Jewish. And, like, because I believe this, and I want to appease my mom and make her happy, because of this, I never dated this. I never, like, pursued this girl. But I actually talked to the girl about it. I told her, like, listen, like, I could tell like we're talking and I could tell where this is going to go because we have great chemistry. I think you're very attractive. So I just want to be open and honest with you. And then she gave the best answer, the answer that I would say to that question. That was great. So she said to me, honestly, I'm not really religious at all. My religion is my ethics and morals, which is what I believe in. I was like, wow, that's a great answer. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because what would you guys do in a situation like this? And when I talk to older guys, I get a very common response like, don't let that one get away. Like, don't listen to others. Do what makes you happy, because a lot of older guys live life with regrets and they don't date girls that made them happy, and they should have, and they settled for someone else because they told them, because their mom or dad or whoever told them that that's who they should date. And I even have a friend's dad who even told me this, like, there's a girl that he was of different culture that he wished he ended up with instead of another one. And it kind of resonates with me. I don't know, I'm just bringing it up because I think it's interesting. And last thing, so we're rebranding this thing as the Eric Michael Show. This is one of the most exciting things I've done in business in a long time. So we're rebranding this thing as the Eric Michael Show. Why? I just think it sounds better. And might as well throw my name in there if you want to build the personal brand. But what we're going to start to do, it should be ready for the next one. If not the next one after, but I'm pressing for next Monday. We're going to turn this into an actual show. So if you've seen the Dave Ramsey show, similar to that. So people are going to call in, I'm going to have conversations with people, and it's going to be much more lively and entertaining. Especially for me, my own peace of mind, as I'm speaking right now, I know from your vantage point, you probably think, oh, this looks cool. He's in front of the camera. He's in this nice studio. I'm by myself in a room right now talking to a lens. And doing that for a long period of time consistently can get a little draining. But my opinion, I think the content will be much better. I'll be able to provide people with more value, and it'll just honestly be more fun. Just having actual live conversations with business, sports cards, life, whatever. I'm going to keep it like sports cards and sports oriented, but you guys know I like to go off on my own sometimes and talk about random things like dating and life, because I think it's important to just, not just be like one thing. And also I just like to talk about that stuff. But I'm super excited for that. I think it's going to be freaking awesome having people call in. I can't wait. And honestly, I can't wait for people to come in and call me a scammer or get into a debate with me. You can't make money with sports cards anymore. I can't wait. That's what I'm really waiting for. Getting into a debate, you can see it's getting my juices flowing right now. Woo, I cannot wait for that. But cool. I think that's all I got for today. What was that, an hour or something? Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this stuff. Any questions, let me know. Leave a comment on my YouTube. Send me a DM on Instagram. I try to reply to all these questions as much as possible. I send out an email once a week on Sunday before I record this on Monday with a form you can fill out where I answer all those questions I was doing the first part of the podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.